Gloves belonging to you with traces of Ben Tucker's blood.
Of course his blood is on them. I had to fight for my life.
I put it to you that Ben, like Leanna and Andrea, caught you out, and you snuck in wearing gloves to avoid leaving fingerprints.
It was cold that day.
And you beat him to death in a violent and prolonged attack to silence him.
He attacked me. It was self-defense.
Did he hurt you?
Of course. He was trying to kill me.
There's no mention of any injuries in your medical records.
I'm a nurse. I can look after myself.
This court has heard from numerous people that Ben was a good-natured, kind man, not this angry monster that you've depicted.
He'd been falsely accused by Jay and violently attacked by Liv.
What do you remember about the day of Dawn Taylor and Billy Fletcher's wedding?
Very little. When I was told what I did, I couldn't believe it. I clearly wasn't in control of what I was doing.
So, it was just the random acts of someone deeply traumatized.
Exactly.
But when you look at the details of what you actually did that day, the amount of planning involved in numerous kidnappings, drugging, acquiring a gun, carjacking, attempted murder, doesn't seem like the random acts of someone out of control. In fact, it looks like the detailed, premeditated work of someone very much in control. I'm sorry, Miss Jutla. Your story just isn't stacking up at all. This alleged breakdown doesn't explain what happened to Andrea Tate and Leanna Kavanagh.
Neither of those had anything to do with me.
Yet somehow items belonging to them found their way into your box of trophies.
I picked up some things I found lying around. Doesn't make me a murderer.
Yet you still admitted to these crimes.
Manpreet made that up after everything I put her through. I don't blame her for having a grudge. Doesn't mean it's true.
So you simply fell foul to a series of incriminating coincidences.
Let's be real. What happened to Leanna was no coincidence.
Sorry? What do you mean?
She wasn't a happy girl. Her mum was dead, her stepmom was a pedophile, and her dad is a lying, womanizing control freak with a horrible temper. I don't know why she was on that bridge that day, but if you ask me, she was there for a reason.
That reason being?
To end her suffering. To kill herself.
That's not true, that.
You are a lying bitch. Don't believe her, please. Do not believe a word of it.
Sit down in my courtroom.
She never would have killed herself, you know? I mean, she had a whole life ahead of her.
Security, please remove her from the courtroom.
Yeah, all right. Look what you've done to him, Meena. You killed her. You killed his little girl.
Meena Jutla has committed the most heinous and violent crimes imaginable. And she has done so in a meticulous and calculated way. You have been presented with consistent testimonies and compelling evidence that all reveal the same undeniable truth: that Meena Jutla is guilty of all the charges against her. Her victims and her victims' families deserve justice for what this woman has done.
Meena was a young woman with the world at her feet. But behind her kind and considerate nature, she hid a vulnerability that certain men would come to take advantage of. Meena's only crime is to try to survive. That's it. Standing up for herself came at a huge cost to her mental health and to those relationships that soured when she finally found the strength to say, enough. The case against Meena was merely a parade of unreliable witnesses regurgitating jaded and baseless accusations. It lacks credibility, but most crucially of all, it lacks actual forensic evidence. It is now down to you, the jury, to decide beyond all reasonable doubt that this is compelling enough to find her guilty and send her to prison for the rest of her life. Or you might decide she's suffered enough and do what is right and find her not guilty of all charges.